Well, the Ohio State Buckeyes are fresh off of a massive 20-13 victory against the Penn State Nittany Lions over in Happy Valley. Yes, it's a couple days late, but we're going to break down what happened on Saturday when Ohio State took down the Penn State Nittany Lions and reinserted themselves back into the national championship conversation tonight on the Buckeye Breakdown podcast.
We've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today. Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All-Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness. This is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Buckeye Breakdown podcast. Anthony Moeglin here alongside my partner, Kevin Woidke. And tonight, we're bringing you a film room episode breaking down what happened on Saturday afternoon when the Ohio State Buckeyes went in to Happy Valley, one of Kevin's favorite places on planet Earth, and took down the Penn State Nittany Lions. I obviously didn't bring you any coverage this weekend, but Kevin, you were locked in on everything on Saturday, and you and I haven't got to talk about the game quite yet. So let's get it started with just your overall thoughts on just a tough, gritty, hard-fought victory by the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Absolutely. I mean, I plugged in pretty heavily to the game. Got to do a little of a recap post game with Brendan, which was a nice little blast from the past, getting him back on here. But no, I mean, it was a hard fought game. They won it how they needed to. I mean, the stats coming out after the game, I didn't even realize were crazy. I mean, that's the first time in 10 years they haven't scored an offensive touchdown. I think the defense has heard the noise for the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, and they stood up. And I said it before, it's going to be a put-up or shut-up game, and it was. And I think that Ohio State's defense put it up and Penn State's offense shut up because they didn't do anything.
It was really special. And obviously when we get into this, we'll dive into a lot of the minute storylines, some of the matchups that you and I talked about, some of the things that maybe you and I identified early in the week that we thought Ohio State needed to do. But from just a big picture perspective, Ohio State was doubted this week for the first time in a long time. They didn't look great against Nebraska. They showed that it was 2 straight games where they were kind of showed that they were human with that loss to Oregon and then that bad performance against Nebraska. And you're like, hey, maybe this Ohio State team isn't all that it's cracked up to be. And frankly, a lot of people, including I'm sure some of you guys, were thinking that Penn State had its best opportunity to beat Ohio State and potentially had the horses to get it done. And what I saw and what my big takeaway was like, the game started horribly. It couldn't have been a worse start. And it was almost like Ohio State leaned on some of the adversity that they had faced up until this point with the Nebraska tough game and with the Oregon loss. And they just kind of shut the door, realized that it was a long football game and just made the big plays when they were there. I think from a more minute perspective, I thought the safeties and the defense from everything that you and I have talked about, Kevin, this year was like, hey, we knew that the one player that could beat Ohio State was their tight end, Tyler Warren. They made it very obvious to try to take him out of it. And so I thought that was really good on defense. And then, Kevin, I thought I guess the player of the game or the group of the game was that Ohio State offensive line. It was patchwork as it could get. There was new faces on the line. There was guys playing different positions. It was one of their best performances against one of their best opponents.
I agree. I think that there's either a graphics guy or a social media guy that maybe forgot Double T, or there's something that happened where Double T wasn't on there. But you see those kind of games. We used to see them. We used to see them all the time when I was there, where it would be like an offensive line. It was once a year usually an offensive line won a player of the game, where it was the whole offensive line won it for how they played against, and for how that bandaged offensive line played against that Penn State defensive line is nothing short of commendable. I mean, they won't win the Joe Moore Award because that's all politics, and that's how it always is. That's why it always goes to SEC school or Notre Dame. But anyway, what they've done with this offensive line group, and I mean, I know he's been under a lot of fire this year, both in the preseason and to start the season. I think for Ohio State, he's doing a good job. I mean, it's similar to Kevin Stefanski with the Browns. Like, look at what he's doing with what he has. And you know what? He's prepping these guys to get in the game and play well. And obviously, it was tough seeing Zen go down last weekend. But I think Hinsman, it's Hinsman. Okay, thank you. I'm, again, horrendous with names. I think he played great for I mean, he just did. Again, throwing the starting lineup, he was playing against a guy who doesn't usually play left tackle, who was probably a little nervous as it was because going against one of the best perimeter edge rush guys. It's just I was very impressed to say the least.
And statistically, the Buckeyes showed up. I think the run game specifically, they finished the day. Quinshawn goes 14 carries for 95 yards. Travion went 10 carries for 54 yards. And then something we talked about, we'll get into when we get into some of these clips here. But Will Howard finishes the night with 12 carries for just 24 yards, but huge carries towards the end of the game. That final drive, he had 3 of the most important carries in that game. And we knew it was going to be tough. You knew if you're Ohio State that Penn State was going to try to take the pass game away. I don't think they did that. I also think Will Howard played truthfully, one of his worst games as a Buckeye, and they still were able to overcome it. Why? Because they could run the football, and they did so super, super effectively. So, Kevin, I think everyone here is here to watch some tape, not watch us jibber jabber about it. So let's dive right in here and get things going. So, to start the game, we hinted at it. Ohio State had one of the worst starts you could do. You could have. They kick it off. That place was rocking. They get things going with Penn State's offense starting to really drive down the field. This one right here is a clip that we saw last week where Nebraska used motion to take advantage of Ohio State's coverage rules and responsibilities. And this is one of the first plays of the game where Penn State just gets the game going. Easy completion for the quarterback. Really a high confidence booster for your guy. You don't allow the rush to get home, and you get a free 9-10 yards to really get things going and just kind of take the nerves away from off of your offense and set you up with a really nice opportunity here. So they don't get the first down on that play, Kevin. And now we'll go to third down. So one of the big things we saw last week, and this is what I really love to see out of Jim Knowles and this defense progressing. We saw a ton of exotic blitzes, okay, where we were manned up everywhere. Well, right now what you're seeing is this group being mugged up. You see your 2 linebackers here up top, and it looks like man coverage across the board. Well, what happens at the snap is these guys fall out. Lathan falls out. And then that's Caleb falls out of it. So why I like it is that, hey, you're trying to mess with the opposing quarterback's mind, mess with his eyes, break his rules that he studied all week long. They're not able to get off the field here, but I really love the look of Ohio State trying to mix things up, as that's been really the criticism to this point is on third down. They've been pretty vanilla, but you're starting to see those elements of some creativity in some of these packages.
Yeah, I mean, you see it. I think you see it with the defensive line. They have a little bit of a reinvigorated energy. Obviously, here the game plan was, hey, either 1, 2, 3 and take off, because you see Tyleek beating his guy at the top of I think that's Tyleek 91. And you see, there's just a good pocket. And when he sees Tyleek start to get around that guard, because you see it right. If you go back a little bit farther, you'll see when he beats him with the swim move, and Drew Aller immediately takes off. He's already on the other side of 77 there, and 77's holding on for dear life. And he knows that if he stays back there, he's either going to get hit or a holding call. So he takes off to make his guard right, and it's obviously successful. And he gets down. He got down quick and said, all right, I'm not getting hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. And it frankly was good. Ohio State, and this is, again, early in the game. This is one thing that, we talked about early in the week. These receivers for Penn State were so outmatched. Ohio State's defense was so more like on a whole different level athletically on the perimeter. The one guy who could beat you is number 44. And he's right here. Not a big factor in this play, but it was very, very clear that Ohio State, as the game progressed, didn't have to worry about Penn State's receivers taking the top off. They weren't nervous about any of that. Ohio State's coverage was pretty good. You'd see this, and you did see it, frankly, later in the game. These guys in the middle start creeping up because you weren't really worried about that. But early on, really good job by Aller just to feel pressure, get up, get out, move the sticks. And for Ohio State, you're like, oh, gosh, we just kicked it off, and they're already at the 50-yard line right away. So same set of downs here, 2nd and 5. And this one right here is another good keep there by Drew Aller. And this was Ohio State, maybe in my opinion here with this blitz off the edge. You see JT in here, normally the read guy, but he draws a gap down. And now you're reading off this edge defender. But what happens here is Sonny gets a little over aggressive in my opinion, and he crashes right to the running back. And this is just an easy pool read right away. Almost looks like a missed responsibility from my perspective, Kevin, of like, hey, looks like JT was responsible for the back and Sonny may be responsible for the quarterback here.
I agree. I have been underwhelmed with Sonny Styles so far this year. He seems out of position a lot. Seems like he's making a lot of MAs. I'm not in the film, so I don't know that for sure. I'm not in the building, so I know that for sure. But like right there is a great example. Like, you're the last guy on the line of scrimmage. You got to stay home, because if you think this guy's making a play here with the entire, that's like a Game of Thrones battle right there of people. You're not going to get through it. Like, you've got to keep contained there. I never played linebacker, but I don't think and I know how they prepare for Michigan State because they run a lot of these read options. They used to have this thing called a mesh charge where you ran right at the mesh point. But I think that Sonny just got too aggressive, made a bad read, and this was the outcome.
And you see it here. It's like, all right, if JT crashes down, which he does, this almost feels like, hey, you're coached on this. They knew zone read was coming. He attached to that dude's hip and followed him into the hole. And then it's the responsibility of the linebacker. Go right at the quarterback. Go right here. This is dead. If they give this off, great. That's dead there. Sonny takes the quarterback. That's dead there. And now you're setting up 3rd and long. Instead, they get a little over aggressive. Aller pulls it, takes it, and now they're set up really, really good in the top of the red area, or a little bit outside the red area, looking to score. So very next set of downs. Again, Drew Aller was using his legs to try to make plays. You see him kind of bouncing in the pocket. Great rush inside. I thought inside in the interior, when they didn't get the double team, whoever it was, whether it was Ty Hamilton or Ty Leak, when they didn't get the double team, guys were trying, making plays to get home, causing some pressure. But this was awesome here. This was a Cody Simon alert, or Cody Simon sighting on this first drive. Allow the catch, but chop it down right away. And there's the big block right in the middle, making a huge tackle. Not a big, massive game-changing play, but doesn't allow this receiver to break a tackle and get a first down. He ends it right away and chops him down immediately.
Yep. And you don't want – is that the receiver, or is 10 the running back?
Like, it's the running back actually coming out of the backfield.
Yeah, I think he chipped JTT and then came out. And him and Warren were their whole offense. Like, we've shown 2 completed passes so far, and both of them were to him.
Yeah.
Like, we said it during the days leading up to it. This wide receiving core is just not anything to write home about.
Yeah. And it's true. And another point here, Kevin, is like, all right, first drive of the game. Hey, I'll see you all day. I'll be here all day long, whether you're catching it, whether you're getting it handed off to you. I'm going to be here all day, chopping you down. And again, I thought Cody was really good, and the stats proved it out. 10 tackles on the day, 5 solos. He had 1 sack and 1 TFL. Like, this is a guy on defense who's really coming into his own and starting to play really, really well for the Buckeyes on that side of the ball. All right, so next play. Here they come, the Buckeyes with a little blitz. This was one where you want back, right? They're going to use a little play action. And again, to your point, this is going to be completed to the running back, but we get a big chunk play. Sonny blitzes on the inside of 71, and Jack's got just a free runner right at the quarterback. He's got the bullseye right on him, but rushes a little too much up the field, and Aller's able to use his legs and make a nice completion. This is really tough once he broke the contain, but you'd like to see a sack right there. Like, this has to be a sack if you're Ohio State.
Yep. And Lathan gets knocked off his track just enough by 71 there. He's in no man's land between 2 people. because
Right
Lathan's got a free run right at him too, and he had to change the trajectory just enough that it got him around. It got Drew Aller just enough that he was able to get around him.
And this is something from a quarterback's perspective too. Like, hey, when they bring one more than we can block, okay, so they only end up bringing 5. All right, so it looks like we get a little simulated pressure or something maybe over here where they thought we were going to get one more blitzer on this side where it looks like we drop out of it. But regardless, the quarterback knows that he's outmanned, right, with this add-on pressure. He knows he's got to make a play when he's able to do so. He's able to kind of squeak out of that tackle from Jack, and that's a tough one. Jack wants that kill shot. Sometimes the better play, the smarter play, is to just get him on the ground. Do whatever you need to do to get him on the ground. He doesn't do that, and it sets up Penn State first and 10 from the 11-yard, the 12-yard line. So, Kevin, inside the 15-yard line, I think is the story of this game. All right, Penn State moved it a little bit, I think. Not great. They weren't moving it all up and down the field, but they were able to get some plays here and there. But man, oh man, I don't know that there's ever been a game where inside the 15, inside the 10, inside the 5, a team hasn't been able to score. And Ohio State's defense in the red zone put on an absolute clinic, man. It was wild to watch.
It really was. It was impressive. You saw pressure. You saw these. It's almost like they appreciate having that back end line.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, it's almost like to them, it's more of a security blanket than anything. Cause they're like, okay, well, we just got to keep it in front of the goal line and then just protect enough that if they throw it in the end zone, it's either out of bounds or we make the play.
And especially here, Kevin, too, where it's like, all right, the 2 guys we're scared of is Kaytron Allen running the football and Tyler Warren catching the ball. So when, you know what I mean? It's like when that's the threat, it's like, all right, here's 44 and here's 10 and everybody else you're not even scared of. And it's like, all right, we can kind of, not play off of them, but we can be super aggressive. We can be really aggressive on everybody else, and we can just kind of field the ball on the other 2 and make sure that they don't beat you. You look here, you got Cody Simon contacting Warren at the 5-yard line, and then he's got 2 more eyes on him, right? So there's like 3 guys really with eyes on Tyler Warren, and you're solo here, you're clearly solo here, and you're solo here. It's like, all right, what's the game plan for Ohio State? Take 44 away. Don't let 44 beat you. And you see it here. This was a 3rd down play. So obviously 1st and 2nd down, they didn't get anything. And then on 3rd down, right, take number 44 away. Don't let him beat you. And then have your guys lock down the rest of the field, man. And they do that. Also, too, not a ton of pressure. Actually, none at all. But Jack Sawyer closes the pocket and doesn't let Aller settle back there and get into it. Like, this is an uncomfortable platform to throw from. And that's all thanks to that nice little bull rush there by Jack.
Yeah, it looks like a delayed twist, or they ran into each other, Ty and Tyleek, and then JTT is just in a place no one wants to be, getting landed on by 2 300-plus pounders. But yeah, Jack put the pressure because he couldn't follow through with that step. He couldn't follow through with his hand. He was getting hit as he threw, and it showed. Yeah,
and it wouldn't have mattered at the end of the day, but because ended up being covered up here and covered up here. But let's just say the outside receiver was on some kind of an in-breaking route or a longer developing route. He wouldn't have been able to get to it because of the pressure that was shown inside. So really good stand inside the 10-yard line there by Ohio State to force a field goal. And again, we all watched it on Saturday. We're going to see why it happened and why Ohio State was able to do so. The first is that they're really freaking good, and they had a great game plan to stop, the 2 threats in Warren and Kaytron Allen there. But the other part of it is that, man, some of these play calls by Penn State were very, head scratching, I would say. And if you're a Nittany Lions fan, you're certainly not watching this video right here. But if you're a Nittany Lions fan, you got to be really concerned from both a defensive perspective, because we'll get into some stuff here that Ohio State took advantage of, but from an offensive perspective too, because I thought it was pretty ugly at some points for them.
No, I agree. And then ugly stuff for us too. Speaking of it, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of ugly, we'll go right into ugly here. As it's 3rd and 5, Ohio State ran the ball a couple times on 1st and 2nd down. So this is obviously the ensuing drive. This was Will Howard's first pass of the game. I've thrown early interceptions in my old career. I've never thrown one on the first pass that I attempted, and I never threw a pick six on the first pass that I attempted in a game. And this is just a tough deal. This is really good coverage up top here, and we'll show you the trade-off that happens. They call this some kind of a banjo defense or a FIFO defense. Banjo, the I guess the imagery there is like hitting a drum. You're hitting a banjo. One's going in, one's going out. FIFO stands for first in, first out. So regardless of what it was, they knew that Ohio State liked to get to this switch release where number one is going up the seam, or I guess that's a horrible drawing. Wow, that was bad. Go up the seam, and then number two comes inside. So when they knew that, number three dropped off on the seam ball, and then number seven made a nice break on the football. This is just well coached right here and well executed. Unfortunate for Will. This is one he wants back because if he gets off of it, if he just gets off of it once and gets to his second or whatever his third read is, he's got Carnell ripping across the middle for what would have been a big gain. Instead, big time the other way. And Penn State, that Happy Valley was absolutely rocking, man. It was going nuts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's tough because they tipped this play. I mean, you can't see it here, but there was like a stutter that Jeremiah did at the top of the play, and it was pretty evident that he was doing something a little wonky, especially when they were stacked to start it and they motioned out. It was a way to try and get people and I think try to trick Penn State, but I think we've shown it too much this year, and that's what happened there. And Penn State sniffed it out, and they were running this like Tampa 2 almost zone where they had five guys about 5 to 10 yards off the line of scrimmage running a zone, and then they had two safeties over the top. Just like by the time he drops back, these guys are 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage. There's 10 to 25. There's a 15-yard gap that Carnell Tate has right there. Like, think about it. If he pumps it there and then throws it to Carnell, that linebacker that's standing just above the 5, he's not going to be able to make a play. And then you're going to expect a safety to come up and make a tackle? He has one juke move, and Carnell could be to the outside, gone. I mean, people forget it's Carnell Tate's a phenomenal receiver just because Jeremiah's out here making plays. But, I mean, you'll see it later. He made a couple plays this game especially.
And this is one that's tough, too, from a quarterback's perspective, given Will the benefit of the doubt on this one. This is such a timing route. Like, this is like top of my drop, bang, I got to get the ball out. But because it's such a timing route, you have to see in front of your throw. Like, that's the coaching point here is like, dude, see in front of the throw. The one guy, you know this right from the start of the play here. You know that, hey, if number 3 locks on and is in man, he can't get to the front of this pass. The only guy that could screw this up is number 7. So Will's eyes need to be locked in on the one guy who can take it away. If he jumps the flat like he did right here, you got to be off. And you can see Will's already thrown the football just a little too late. One that he certainly wants back, and one that cost Ohio State 7 points. And at this point in the game, it's 10-0. What do we feel? We're off of 2 bad performances, right? You lose in Oregon, bye week. You don't play well against Nebraska. The first 10 minutes of the football game, there's 5 minutes to go. You can see where my cursor's at on the bottom of the screen. 5 minutes to go in the first quarter, and you had a drive where they moved it right down the field, got in the red zone, and then on your first pass, you threw a pick 6. Like, vibes are couldn't be lower at this point. They're in the basement, man. And it is not a good feeling for Ohio State at this point where it's like, we got to go, man. This has to turn around. It's got to turn around quick.
Yep.
All right. So right away, they come back and they put a drive together that is really, really, really impressive, both from an execution standpoint. Thought Will responded super well. I think they got Quinshawn going in this drive, but I think, and this is a good time to bring him up, that I think that this was one of Chip Kelly's best games as an Ohio State offensive coordinator. He had a really good beat on what Penn State was doing. I don't think Penn State helped themselves out at all, but I think they knew exactly what they were going to get from this Penn State defense, and they took advantage of it. So very next play for Ohio State, they get things going here with the completion of number 4. He was great again, and it goes without saying. 4 catches for 55 yards. He didn't have that take the top off play, but in games like this, these are the important ones. These tough catches that move the sticks. We're going to see a 3rd and 9 later. That who do they go to? An 18-year-old in his biggest moment as a Buckeye. I thought he was really, really good, and he's definitely a favorite target for Will Howard. All right, here we go with getting Quinshon going. We talked about him being freaking angry every time he runs it, man. Look at this Kevin. This is a mean stiff arm. He just totally plants. That's a linebacker. That isn't a safety or a corner. That is a scraping linebacker that he bounces his head off the ground like a basketball and gets a huge 12-yard gain.
Yep, and you see Jeremiah there fighting to get a block, even though he's faced the wrong way at one point. Maybe been a little bit of a hold, but it's all right. That's what happens. You see Donovan Jackson. So based on this play design, I'm thinking, yeah, okay. So what should have happened here is if you go, oh, well, there's no top. Phio to where. Okay, so we ran to the tight end because you got Fryer out there blocking. You have, it looks like Kinsmeyer or backup tight end. What's his first name?
Well, it was going to be Thurman today because Merrick was hurt. So I don't know who exactly it was, and it looks like actually. Oh,
you know what? You know what it probably was. All right, so this was a counter play.
Yeah.
So this is
a block down. Yep, and you get a pulling guard coming across.
Yep. So this is a hard play to get to, and you see Donovan Jackson trying to get up on that linebacker, which is a really hard block, almost impossible. Been there many times, but the running back made him right, and then you see him throw him down, and then I mean that's the one thing about these receivers. You see him fighting. Obviously not Emeka at the top of the screen, but Jeremiah knows the play's coming to him, and they know that they got to keep their feet moving in the event they get rolled up on.
Yeah, and I'd also say this too, like there's 2 points I want to make here from just like an optic standpoint, right? Jeremiah Smith, I think this is great to see. Like, regardless of if this is a hold or not or whatever, he's competing, right? He's going hard, like this. He's trying, and everyone sees that, right? So that's up for him. And I also think too, Urban Meyer talked about it earlier in the week, and you and I talked about it. Like, what can they do to solve this run game, right? Because they had huge problems last week in the run game. How can they solve this? And a lot of it was, you mentioned it, gap scheme plays, gap scheme runs, because at least that, hey, we got to get to this gap. I block my gap regardless of what's in it. So you see that early on, a simple run where you get a pulling guard. Everyone just gets in the way here. Like no one's like, I wouldn't say anybody's winning the line of scrimmage here, Kevin, but they're in the right spot, right? Doing the right thing. And then when you have an elite running back, like number one is like 12-yard gains happen because everyone did their job. Maybe like I said, they didn't move the line of scrimmage, but it looks like this is a huge hole to run through. And then you just make one man miss.
Yep.
So awesome gain here, getting it right to about the 50-yard line. And then this one right here. So this is schemed up to absolute perfection. Apologize here, don't have the top of this play, but what I want to show you is that Penn State is in just straight man-to-man coverage. It's 1st and 10. All right, I'll just say this. If I'm an aspiring defensive coordinator, there's just no time in a game where I'm guarding Ohio State straight man-to-man coverage. So what Ohio State does is you see Carnell up top, you get 1, you get 2, 3, and then we have a tight end right here who's the 4th guy over here. So you're in a quads formation, all right? So in a quads formation, when you're playing man-to-man coverage, the corner goes over. So you hear that often, corner over. So both corners are on this side of the field, and from their defense, your man up top, your man here, number 3 is right there, and then you get a man-to-man coverage here. And now why this is important is because this guy, whether he's a safety or a linebacker, is in man coverage on the running back. All right. So why is that important? Well, Ohio State just goes and blocks him. Okay. You see it. There's Josh Fryer, just gets to the second level and blocks the one guy responsible for the running back. They option the last guy who can make the play. He can't be right. They pitch it to him, and there's like nothing. There's one guy left, and he's in the center of the field. He's right here. There's nothing left on the field to make this play. This is awesome. This is an awesome scheme by Chip Kelly and Ryan Day to get them in this look.
Yeah, it really is. You see Seth get up there and lock on that. I mean, that's teach tempo. That's teach tape right there. Josh knows where that guy can beat him, and it's inside enough field because Quinshon's going to get upfield like that. I think this is a design pitch, and you're just baiting that because I don't think anybody is blocking this like Will's going to keep the ball.
Yeah.
And, that's obviously double team misses his block a little bit, and Hinsman is a little off of his. But, they don't hold, which is huge because that's what a lot of people do when they mess up. They start holding. And then he gets it out there and just play it forward. Watch Seth just stay on this linebacker. Keeps his hands inside, fights him off, lets him go, and he gets beat. And what is that? 20-yard gain?
It's awesome. So, Kevin, talk about this from a lineman perspective, from a center's perspective. Maybe you don't know it from a center's perspective, but just how hard is it to get up to this second level? And sure, they're in a 4-down front here, so he didn't have anybody directly over top of him, but man, this, like you said, getting to this point right here is really hard to do. And it looks like, to my eye, he executed it as perfect as you could get.
Yep. He got his hands could maybe go a little wide, gets him inside. But the hard part is just getting up there because you got to be really fast, get up there and then slow down so you don't overrun it. And he gets in those little shuffles like he's playing Coach K's defense for Duke. And then once he locks on, that's when he starts running his speed. Josh does a good job of just sealing that guy off, sending him back upfield. And then Seth lets it. And that's the thing you got to do is you got to know when you're beat and let him go, and just know that you've done your job, and you're just supposed to hold him up for 2, maybe 3 seconds, and then you're good.
And look how easy, again, the play call, the play design just made it for this offensive line, right? Really, honestly, here 2 guys have to make a block, right? It's Seth McLaughlin has to get here, and Josh Fryer has to just get here and just be like a screen, like you said, just play like basketball defense. Those are the only 2 guys that really have to make a block for this play to be good. That's just it, right? They do their job, and those are the 2 guys who've played every single snap at that position that they're at right now. And the result is Quinshon Judkins, the best runner in the country, is now at 10 yards, and he doesn't have a guy within 5 yards of him. This is exactly how you draw it up. And then what do? They don't just stop there. They hide Emeka Egbuka right here, right in the thick of the line. He's the point person right there. They just hide him in this. Oh, we're running it well. We've done this sprint rollout thing where we've given it to Travion right in the flat there. Oh, and we're just going to run. I used to call this a sneaky route because it was real sneaky. You had to be that receiver, whether it be a tight end or a wideout, had to just get through the stuff. And then once he came out on the other side, he was going to be wide open. And sure as heck he was, man. That is just perfectly called up. 2 plays back to back that were dialed up perfectly.
And then, and the thing to talk about is the O-line there. Obviously, Josh Fryer gets in his stance, then gets put in his stance again right there. But they did a great job of selling the run. They kept their helmets down, and they had everybody bite. Because if you don't sell run here, this play doesn't work. Because everyone's up at the line of scrimmage, and they're all just kind of staying there. They all immediately drop back, and then you would have somebody right there. That's just – I don't know where number 1 is, what he was doing, where he appears from, but I don't think he's covering anybody unless he's playing the Jabril Peppers safety because –
unless they just were doubled up. But, the funny one is to look at, like you said, number 11 inside, number 6 right there, number 5, this triangle right here, watch number 5. He goes, this is such a – and I'll say it here. This is such an oh shit moment. Watch this. He knows because look, he's the first guy to have hands on Emeka, the first guy, and he goes, you can see it right here, and he just takes off running. He's like, oh no, because they just schemed it up perfectly. They used their tendencies against Penn State, and drew up a perfect play for a touchdown. So. Yep. What I absolutely love about that is pick 6 on the very first throw. You're down 10-0. Happy Valley's rocking. That stadium's going crazy. Rivalry game has been playing good. they just responded in the best way possible, like best way they could possibly do it. Like it was 10-0. Final score is 20-13. Ohio State wins the rest of the game 20-3. That's spectacular stuff. And they did that all in the first quarter. And right then, dude, you feel like, oh, we're totally fine. Like, all right, you took Penn State's best punch. You took their left hook or their right hook, whatever it was. You ate it, and now you steadied yourself and you're back on your feet, ready to go win a football game. All right, so now we go to the second quarter here. So you got it here, 3rd and 11. I think from a grand scheme of things, this is one of the plays of the game, right? Because 3rd and 11, it's kind of starting to get stagnant here. We're going to get a couple drives back and forth where the offenses get kind of caught up and the defenses start rolling. But we find Carnell on the sidelines, all right? A simple, right, play ends, punter was probably out on the field already. But we get a personal foul call by number 9 stepping over Carnell. And I guess by the letter of the law, like, yes, that's a personal foul. Ohio State fans certainly were fired up and probably said that was the worst move you could ever do. But man, oh man, did Ohio State get a gift right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's similar to the Caden Curry targeting the other year. That is what the rule says. He could have maybe rolled back. I think that if he steps over him and doesn't look down on him, he doesn't get the penalty. Yeah. But the fact that he went full Allen Iverson there is where that's where he gets in trouble. Yeah.
And you're dead right, man. Don't even, what we always used to talk about, don't even put it in the ref's hands, right? The rule is if you step over the guy, it's a personal foul. He stepped over him, he got a personal foul. And what happened next? All right, again, Ohio State goes 1st and 2nd down, only gets 5 yards, but has it in 3rd and advantageous. Again, Penn State goes with a blitz, which I tend to agree with, but you just cannot try to man these cats up. You just can't do it. You get man coverage, you get a safety up top. And what you can't do is take Ohio State's maybe best football player and leave him unblocked. And that's exactly what they do here. The blitzers come through. A linebacker was responsible for Travion. Will felt the pressure. Travion, you could see it right here is a perfect place to stop it because he knows at this point, he's like, I got nothing left. There ain't nothing left. You can see his eyes already, his back at the quarterback. And Will just gets to the top of his drop and lays one out perfectly, gets it to 32, and Travion does the rest. And especially on 3rd down, like, man, I guess if it were me, I'm not trying to man these dudes up because it's really hard to do. But you can't cut a guy loose, especially Travion Henderson, because the result, Ohio State back in the red zone, setting up 1st and goal or 1st and 10 from the 20.
Agreed. No, yeah, you did. There's a handful on our offense you don't want to leave open. Another good example of that is the guy at the bottom of the screen right there, number 88. Played a phenomenal. He did have a really good game in the blocking, and he had a couple catches. But I don't want to talk about him. We'll see. It's just the other thing that's nice is Will knowing how to touch the ball there because I think it was number 13 gets past Seth and is a half a beat from knocking that ball down.
Yeah, right here. And this one as a quarterback, you just like float that thing out there. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be precise on this one. Just get the ball in his hands because when you do that, it's all good things. This is funny here, just from the way I know this play was schemed up is because it's man and they knew they were getting man. Jeremiah's responsibility here is to just pick anybody who would be responsible for guarding the running back. He gets in here and he's got nobody. He's just like got nobody. There's like nobody there. And you see that and bang, Ohio State back in business. I think this is awesome. And what do? Damn near the same exact play, Kevin, that they've scored a touchdown on, just looks a little bit different. All right. Use your number 1 decoy, get G Scott going to the flat. But here's Brandon Ennis right here. And he's just going to duck in here, look like he's blocking. We're going to fake action this way. G runs out this way. You're going to get action here. And then we're just flowing across the field on this side. And then here's Ennis. Just sneaks right across the field just like that. And it is easy pickings because you just flow everything away and there ain't nothing left for number 11. And this was, again, I have it up here. Here's my note. Schemed up times 5. This is 5 great just play calls. Like it could have been me thrown to you out there and you'd have scored because this is exactly what you do against a defense like this.
Yeah, if they're going to be that pressed up against you, you want to run these crossing routes because the chances of those linebackers and those DBs running into each other are so high.
There you go. Nothing. This 13, guess who is responsible for? Responsible for Travion. They use Travion, who's 10 yards away from him, to get action this way, to get 13 flowing, to just pick off the guy responsible for Brandon, and he gets through it. Like there's nothing you can do. And I thought this was really good because we talked about Will maybe struggling a little bit in this game, which he did. Turned the ball over twice, cost Ohio State 14 points. And it was probably tough. It was tough sledding. This is a tough defense. When you can rely on play calls where this is a layup, like this is a absolute layup for a quarterback. You love to see this. You just put it right on his face mask and bang, there's a 20-yard touchdown. It's easy enough. And now not only do you just steady the ship, now you're rolling because now you have the lead and Penn State's now scared because they had a huge buffer, right? They started with a 10-point cushion, and their offense hadn't done anything to this point outside of that opening drive. And it's just going to get a lot harder for them because here you go. Very next possession. It's 3rd and 10. So they've moved the ball 0 yards on this possession. All right. So they got the ball obviously at the 25. Nothing on first, nothing on second. And now Ohio State heats it up. All right. So they flew out the first time. We saw that first clip on 3rd down. They flew out of this. This time we're locked up. We're man here. All right. And who's the one guy we're scared of, Kev? We talked about it already. It's Tyler Warren. All right. He's the one guy that can beat us. And they're going to him. But Penn State runs into each other. This is what happens when you don't have the best wide receivers. You look why that happens is right here. You see this receiver, and I'll just play it through. Watch him stutter off the line of scrimmage, right? Because that's Davison's right in his face, not going to let him move. He stutters off the line of scrimmage, and because of that, he gets delayed on his route, and he runs right into Tyler Warren. And on 3rd down, they break up their own pass.
Exactly. It's just we talked about it top of the show. We talked about it last week. These wide receivers just aren't good, and at least it didn't seem like it based on the stats. And then you watch this kind of stuff and you see why. It's just the little errors that they're making, the mental mistakes, the lackadaisical movement. That's kind of what has been costing them all year. And obviously it cost them right here on 3rd and 10. And I mean, they're trying to drive the ball down the field to answer our touchdown.
And it's huge play. And also too, watch the top of your screen. We're going to get a nice rush out there, a little hold, a little yank there, but that was it. Penn State had this kind of blocked up decently, and Ohio State's back end. That's what you do, man. And when you're elite on the back end, stuff like that happens, right? And you see this. They were doing their celebration all day.
I didn't understand. Do you know what that is? I didn't understand what that was.
I don't know what it is. I know that Penn State does it. I know that that's like their thing, I guess. And also to the first down thing which we'll see here in a little bit is definitely a Drew Aller special. Which is now a Will Howard special, as we'll see later. So, okay, flip it back to Ohio State. Their drive's rolling a little bit. Now, this sequence of plays, I think, is like penthouse to outhouse stuff for Will Howard. This play right here is unbelievable. We'll run it through once, but similar look to before, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But this throw is insane. I mean, over the pressure, you're rolling left. First of all, this guy's going to be a top 10 pick next year. He's their best player on their team. You make him miss. You're still rolling back across your body, up over a corner or safety, right into the hands, right into the hands of Jelani Thurman. And I missed the play here. But on 4th and 1, like this is exactly what you need from a quarterback who needs to make a big play. And when called upon, he did it here, and this was awesome.
I mean, that's their best player right there, rushing the ball. And he does a little song and dance and gets him, buys enough time for him to throw the ball down. I think Thurman, he bobbled this ball with no one touching him for 5 steps, and then the minute he gets hit, he secures the catch. It's unbelievable. It's almost like they knocked it back into his hands. Yeah, honestly, like this right here, when it's at this point, like great catch. Now he starts bobbling it. It could have been any type of hit that pops that thing up in the air and it's picked off. Yep. Instead, he locks it down. And Kev, frankly,
the big play we had last time to Emeka with this half rollout, same set, same kind of formation here. Instead of Emeka, this is all your tight end. You got 3 tight ends in here, but it's that little half rollout thing that we use in short yardage. It's Travian into the flat. It's Jelani up in the second level, and then you got Jeremiah taking the top off. So it ends up just becoming a levels concept, but they stick in it. There's your guy. If they would have thrown it here, it would have been a touchdown, but they don't. Instead,
let's talk about it here for a second. But no, I agree.
It's just awesome. And then it's 4th down, right? It sets you up. And then what do? Let's hand this thing to Travion. We hadn't called his name. He had a solid day, I would say. 10 carries for 54 yards, 5 yards a pop is great at any level. But just kind of overshadowed a little bit by Quinshon being awesome too. I mean, the 2-headed monster that those two are is pretty special stuff. But one thing that's super encouraging, in my opinion, Kevin, is the fact that it's 3rd down here, right? It's 3rd and 4. You're not dropping back to pass it. You're calling on your running back and you're calling on your offensive line to move the sticks, and they do so in a huge way.
Well, if they're going to sit there in that 5-yard deep zone, why not? I mean, they ran this defense all day, and they just didn't do anything about it. They didn't change it. I mean, I didn't know what they were doing. I was like, okay, well, and is this the 3rd quarter, or is this the second?
We're still in the 2nd quarter here.
Yeah, this is kind of why we took the top off a little bit, for lack of a better term, off a little bit in the second half, because we knew what they were doing. They just ran the same defense. It was crazy.
Yeah. And everyone, Will carries out his fake and gets this linebacker to just bump over just a step. It wouldn't have mattered. I don't care who you are. Travian in the hole, he wins that every single time. But you feel really great about this. And for Ohio State, you're going for a kill shot, right? You get up 2 scores, you feel really, really good about it. And now you're at the top of at the 10-yard line. And we talked about it early in the week, Kev. How do you help the run game? You make it a little bit easier on the offense line, but also you add the quarterback run, and then you make that a big portion of the game, right? We talked about it, 12 carries for Will, only 24 yards, but when he did carry the football, he got some big yards. But before we get into the bad part of this play, it's Travian Henderson. Watch 32 here just unload on a quarterback and just prove him like, hey, we're here. We're here, brother.
That, and also, I mean, you look at Bennett Christian. Not playing a whole lot this year, but I mean, look at his block here. This is against Carter, and then he stays with him. Yeah. He just kept running with him down the field. It's like, you're not going to leak off and make this tackle.
It's awesome. And look at Seth, get up to the top here, get up to the second level again, tough block. And this is a good example of it. You see him go from full speed to full stop here. The alignment equivalent of stopping on a dime, right? And he does a great job. He gets there, gets square. It's a great point you make about, hey, you got to be fast up there, and you got to jump on the brakes. But I mean, this is blocked up, set up really well. Travian, lays out the corner, smacks him right in the mouth. Bad part. All right, let's talk about it. Are you a fan of a fumble through the end zone, goes out of bounds, it's a turnover? Not in this scenario, just in football.
I might be the only person who is. I think that, for a lot of people disagree with me, but if you're getting that close to the end zone, and I keep it mostly for the fact that those people that stick the ball out extend them all the way, and if you hit their arm and it falls out of the end zone, you deserve it. You're not going to protect the ball. Here, he's protecting the ball. The defender made a great play. But the reason I'm for the rule is to prevent what I just talked about. And I mean, I got people telling me it should go back to you should lose it down and take the ball back to the 20-yard line. There's different alternatives, but I mean, everyone's got a good idea for it. Some people say it's stupid. You should get the ball out you should get the ball back where it's at. And then the counter argument is, hey, what if you fumble the end zone and recover it? It's still a touchdown. Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I'm for it. It obviously bit us in the butt here. It bit me in the butt in high school. It's never been good to me. But I mean, look at the Browns with Sendejo.
Hollywood Higgins. Hollywood
Higgins. Like, I mean, no. But it's always. But I've stayed true to it. I'm the most loyal in terms of absolute torture by this rule. But I'm for it.
Yeah, I've been in this scenario. I've done it once. You fumble through the end. The solution, the alternative is don't fumble. Like literally, Don't fumble the football. You're at the inch-yard line. If you don't score here, yeah, your boys will make fun of you and films, whatever. Because guess what? You're going to hand it to Travion or Quinshon, and it's a touchdown. Next play. You cannot fumble this football. And it wasn't like he was showboating or anything. This ended up being a good play. He got his paw right on the football. And it sucks. It's one of those that just, he lost. I know for a fact Will Howard lost sleep about this, but it just can't happen. That's now, and it's not even halftime. And that's 14 points off the board. Well, 7 points for Penn State and 7 points taken off the board for Ohio State that are a direct result of Will Howard. Like, that stuff can absolutely not happen. That's at some point we got to get over the learn from it, right? We're in week 8. We're going to be in week 9, or no, excuse me. We're in week 9, going to be in week 10. Like, that stuff has to stop. It has to end, because while this was a huge win for Ohio State, I think there are better teams out there than Penn State that it will certainly come back to bite later on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Penn State said, Ohio State, hold my beer, because we're going to give one right back to you. So can't get Tyler Warren involved. I think that this is just a perfect example of they're getting into their break glass in case of emergency offense, because they couldn't get him the football throwing it. So now they just hand it off to him. And he's still a load, man. He's still hard to tackle. He was good out of the backfield. When they did throw it to him, he was solid too. He was their leading rusher, 3 carries for 47 yards. Obviously the big chunk play at the end, but finished with 4 catches for 47 yards. So totally equal on both sides. But this was hey, we got to we have to get him the football and get him in a big way. All right, so they're trying to move a little bit. Here's where it kind of gets going back and forth. I thought it was this drive. It's not quite here yet, but Ohio State locks it up on 3rd down. And I thought this was a good example of just the advantage that Ohio State has in the secondary. Like, there's just nothing open. Here's your tight end. Here's Tyler Warren, your one worry. Every other receiver clamped. Denzel's got him. There's no throw getting out there. This is clamped inside. This is totally clamped. Like, there's nothing available. And yeah, sure, maybe he's got a little aggressive. I like the no call here because this is just a hope throw. Like, look at this. Pressure inside, locked up on the back end. Ohio State is a tough defense to go against.
Yeah, I mean, that you said it. The pressure on the inside is really what makes this play happen, because if he waits another half a second, I think both, if not, I know that Tyler might not be open, but I think that receiver becomes open. I mean, you could call holding because he's hand fighting, 15 yards downfield, but what are you going to do? It's football. You see Denzel up at the top having good coverage. You got the one high safety, so you're going to want to throw towards the sideline, stay away from him. It's just a matter of it's 3rd and 6. I don't know why they ran such a deep, running play.
Yeah, I mean, this all you got to do is get to the sticks here. Like, you'd like to see something just like that. But Kevin, they were totally out. Here's where coaching comes into it. We just watched 6 or 7 clips of Chip Kelly and Ryan Day knowing exactly what they're getting. Hey, on 3rd down, they're going to do this. They haven't veered away from it, right? Even if we put 4 guys to one side of the field, they're going to stay in whatever they're doing. For Ohio State, they've done this now a couple times where Jim Knowles will put everybody on the line of scrimmage. And again, apologies, don't have the top of the clip here, but everybody's on the line of scrimmage, and sometimes they fall out. Sometimes they blitz. Sometimes 2 guys go out. Sometimes all 3. But like, they keep mixing it up, and they do a really nice job of mixing up their looks, breaking their tendencies. And when you do that, you can't just key on, hey, you're getting man, and if we stack it, we can just hit a slant route here, and we're going to move the sticks. We're going to heat you up on this play, and now you're dropping back, and we're getting pressure in your face, and guys are all around your feet, and you almost throw an interception, because it's just all discombobulated, because I think that they felt at times Penn State was a little unprepared for Ohio State's defense.
I agree. No, that's a great way to put it.
It's getting fired up there, because it's like, holy cow. Like, how do you, like, just from a quarterback and a coach's perspective, how do you do that? All right, Ohio State gets the ball back, and here was the one we were waiting for it, and you're thankful that it only came a couple times, and none of them were game-changing plays, I'd say. There was no strip sacks or not anything, but this, put it in here just once, but Abdul Carter gets the best of Donovan Jackson. And this was just, I remember watching it and being like, it was going to happen. You know, it was bound to happen because Abdul Carter, best player on Penn State defense, Donovan Jackson is a guard trying to block. It's damn near impossible.
Oh yeah, this is battle of 2 first-team All Big Ten players right there, and I just think that it's tough to. I mean, maybe Donovan might not even get first team because he'll be playing 2 positions, but yeah, that's tough because you see Josh Fryer at the top. You know, good protection there. It's just tough.
Yeah, and good players are going to make plays, and he made his good play there. And like I said, if you're going to give up 2 sacks on Saturday, you take that, right? You absolutely make that deal, no question about it. And he finished the day 4 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2 TFLs. That's a great day by all intents and purposes, but that was against a defense or an offensive line that was patchwork. He was going against a guy who's never played tackle in his entire life. And Ohio State was kind of able to hold him in check. So I thought that was really impressive. So from a game situation perspective, Ohio State punts this thing back to Penn State, and now Penn State's driving, right? Second quarter, you can't quite see it, but right below here, there's 25 seconds left in the half. And here's where I thought things could get weird. All right. It could get challenging for Ohio State. It was critical that they keep Penn State out of the end zone, because if you do that, Ohio State has the ball coming out of half. So you could potentially get up 2 scores and do so in a good way. So lock it down, make sure that nothing happens. So again, Ohio State elects to drop 7. I'm good with it. They rush 4. You want your guys to get home, getting close, but Aller, while he's big, while he seems a little doppy, he's pretty athletic. Gets out of the pocket, and this is a massive chunk gain with just 25 seconds left to go in the half with only 2 timeouts. I think it was a gutsy play by Aller and one that had Ohio State kind of on their heels as this drive progressed.
I agree, and you see, as Sonny Styles is in a little bit of no man's land, but like you see Drew Aller take off with that ball. Mm-hmm. He's just out of position again.
Yeah, this one, I'll little tough right here. This pump fake right there is just enough where it's like, all right, you see Mahomes do it. We're gonna see him here in a little bit as they play Monday Night Football. But it does that little pump fake just to get the defense to honor him, because truth be told, you know, in film on Monday or Sunday, Sonny's like, yeah, this is my guy. All right, and if he would have thrown it and it would have been a massive play, we'd be saying the same thing about him, you know. So this is just tough. You know, this was a broken play. And sometimes quarterbacks are able to do that. Thought this was really good. You'd like to see a better pass rush here inside. Huge hole gets created. Aller takes advantage of it and gets it down to the 20. All right, they respond. Very next play, they win on Davison. All right, so you can kind of see it right here. There's a little stutter, a fake slant. It gets Davidson to bite inside, and then the route goes right up the sidelines here. Perfect throw, perfect catch. But go ahead.
No, yeah, that's just what it was. Cody's a hair late. Mm-hmm. I think they threw a flag for holding on this one too. You see the yellow come in. Dude,
right here is like worst nightmare type stuff. You see Zero blitzing in like this.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Like he's flying in. Uncontested, and a good catch, and they get a hold. They get a hold on Davidson, but what does he do, man? I guess as we're going through this, is responding to adversity is the thing that just keeps coming into my head. And here he is again. This play was holy cow! Like you saw it, and you're like, all right, initially touchdown, like dang it, and then you're like, incomplete, and then you saw the replay, and you're like, oh, that's picked.
Yeah,
you can see it right here. Right here's where he catches it. You're like, oh my gosh, he picked that thing off, didn't he?
Yeah, it was unreal. It was an instinct pick. I think it just ended up in his hand, and he made it. When you watch it slow mo, like up close from the Fox angle, it's just it just landed there. It was, I don't know if lucky is the right term. Maybe it is, but that's just what it was. He just kind of landed in his arms, and he just tightened his muscles, and that's where you see him. That kind of plays what you needed right there.
Yeah.
Look at all those people celebrating, thinking that they just scored.
Mm-hmm. It's just a huge play because, like we said, this changes the whole flow of the game, right? You go from down 17-14 to, oh, cow. Oh, I mean, we just got the football. Like, the football's ours. Now we have a chance to put this game away, right? You said it out front. It's the first time in I forget how many days or years it was, but Penn State
was 10 years. First time in 10 years.
Didn't score an offensive touchdown. That's insane.
It's crazy.
Absolutely bonkers, dude, that something like that was true, and especially in the biggest game. Like, Ohio State's defense needed it, and they showed up in a massive way. All right, so now second half. So this was a lot. This half right here, some good, some bad on both sides. We're in this middle tug of war right now where there's a big defensive battle happening because Penn State scored all their points within the first 10 minutes. They haven't been able to do anything. Ohio State have had a couple drives, but a couple turnovers have certainly cost them. So Ohio State's trying to figure it out, and you could tell there was an emphasis on just like, let's just close this door. Don't let Penn State back into it. Mm-hmm. What they do, they start the half getting the ball to Jeremiah Smith. Now, this play is hilarious to me because he catches it at the 35-yard line. And look at this yards after catch. 1-man miss, 2-man miss, juke move, slips, falls, caught it at the 35, got out to the 40, their 47.5. Every week, again, he didn't have the big touchdown this week. He didn't have the big play. This play is just as important as any of the other ones could be because gets a new set of downs and gets it into plus territory.
I agree. That's what he makes plays. He thought he was going to go down. A lot of people were slipping and falling on this field.
Mm-hmm. Is it a good field? Is the field bad?
I mean, it's grass. It's just kind of hit or miss. I didn't think it was bad when I played on it, but I don't know. Maybe it's changed. But yeah, maybe they just weren't wearing the right cleats because you didn't see really Penn State slipping and falling.
No, but just really good outside. Everyone blocks well. Emeka gets hands on and gets a nice finish there. Throws the hands up. That's a universal sign for holding, but he didn't get the call, which is great. But it doesn't matter. Give for the football. Good things are going to happen. All right, 2nd and 5. Here you go with a little gap scheme play. You get a double pull coming across. Blocked really, really well. Travion Henderson is just tough as nails, man. Like, when Ohio State needed the most, they call him 32, and he does stuff like this.
Yep, and you see Jeremiah – he's watching his feet here. You want to keep your feet moving there because look at where Travion ends up, right at his ankles.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's where you want to keep your legs moving as a receiver because if your foot's in the air and you get rolled up on, you fall out, and there's not really a problem. You maybe bruise a hip. But the person I want to highlight on this is, I mean, you got the two. You got, it looks like G. Scott and Double T pulling. You got Josh Fryer blocking down. Or is that Hinsman that's bowling there? It looks like
I think that's Hinsman on the pool here. Yep.
Yeah.
That's Carson Hinsman.
But Carnell gets on number 4 here, and that's what kind of springs his play.
Yeah, does a really nice job. Like, that's the one thing that we talk about it a lot. Like, it's not a glory thing for wide receivers to get their nose in there, and especially for a guy like Carnell. Like, he's definitely third fiddle this season. You know, Jeremiah's the star. Emeka's the great senior, and Carnell's kind of the next guy. And, you know, just stuff like this, plays like this, spring, instead of Travion getting hit at the whatever yard down or whatever yard line that is, Ford doesn't even touch him. You know, he didn't get a hand on him until he's 10 yards past him.
Right.
Huge run. And then I just teased I teased the next clip. I put on last week the big miss, the miss by about 50 feet to the right. This was awesome. I think that when Coach Day talked last week and basically was asked point blank, like, do you have confidence in Julian Fleming in your kicking game? Like, what is that like? And it was very, very obvious that there was no confidence there. Like, they didn't believe in their kicking game. And you know, you didn't know when it was going to come back to bite. And Jaden Fielding was 2 for 2. Long of 46. This one was his, this was his long here. And he was exactly what you needed, right? He was tough. It was critical kicks. This is a tight game. This is a pressure situation. And he buries it. And he hit a bomb on this one, too. I mean, that is massive. You can see here. I liked it. Field goal buried. But the bigger point is that they didn't trust him. He had a tough week last week, and he comes out and when called upon again, responded to his adversity and was able to get the job done.
Yep.
All right, next one. We flip to the other side. Now Penn State, starting to get nervy for Penn State. They haven't been able to move the football at all, and they certainly haven't been able to find the end zone. So they find themselves trailing 7-0. And now is when you see this Ohio State defensive line start to get just a little bit closer. They haven't been able to get home quite yet, but they're getting a little bit closer. Nice blitz. Looks like that's Cody coming off the top edge. Forces Drew up and out of the pocket. Unfortunately, he makes a good play. Sometimes players make plays, steps up, makes a good play. There's nothing you can do. For Denzel, that's tough. For everybody, that's just really tough plays. Good instinct by Penn State, and they're starting to roll here. But the story continues. Ohio State will give you a yard, right? Inside the 20 to 20, they'll give you a yard. But when they have to buckle down, when it's 3rd down and 9, this is what they call best on best. This is Tyler Warren versus Caleb Downs. Who's going to win? And may the best man win here. And for Ohio State, Caleb is just – this dude is special stuff. Joel Klatt was on the call, listening to the Joel Klatt show today. He compared him to Troy Polamalu from his USC days. Like, just a guy who's always in the right position, always hitting hard, always making big plays. And he's the eliminator. He's the eraser of their other team's best player, and this was a great example of it.
He really is. I think I don't want to take his credit, but I might have said that last week.
Is he listening to the show?
He might be. People don't want to talk about it.
Shout out to Joel.
It's no, but I mean that's just what it is. He's a tried and true guy. He's downhill. He plays downhill. He makes the right play. They talk about him being a professional all the time, and you just don't see MAs much.
Mm-hmm. And this is a really hard play. Ohio State's in man coverage, all right? So you're obviously getting man here. This receiver over my cursor is supposed to pick Caleb, right? He's supposed to get in his way and force Caleb off his route. Well, Caleb goes over top of it and then is able to just get downhill. Part of that is because he knows he's facing a tight end, and he knows he has the speed on this guy. So he's able to do that, give up a little bit of ground just to regain it. But when you do that, got to be right. And he attacks the hip, takes the legs out, and that is awesome stuff by number 2 there. So Penn State kicks a field goal, and now it's ball back to the Buckeyes. Here we go. Abdul Carter gonna get his, right. He gets 2 on Saturday. This one comes on 3rd and 8, and this is just really good. You tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think this is all that bad out of Donovan. He pushes him by, but Carter's able to get back home.
Well, yeah. If you go back to the top. You never want to have your heels clicking like his are.
Right there.
Yeah, like you see how his feet are together. That's where he lost his rep. He understepped on one of his sets, and that's where he got beat around the edge. And it's hard to see from this angle. You see it more from the back when you watch the film. But his feet just stopped moving, and that's where hold on. I just saw something else. Did you see it or no?
I didn't see it.
Look at Travion Henderson on this play.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that is what you want with a running back who's you want to show a running back what's finding work when your responsibility is not getting out on a pass route. That is it. Unreal. Just leveled him.
Holy
yeah. No.
Right in the teeth, dude.
Yeah. So and that's what's tough. Inexperienced tackle, slow feet. It's just hard.
Yeah, and they end up winning the rep. That hurts number 92. I'm sure he was feeling that. Yeah. For on the back end, Penn State just goes 1 high. All right, so this is a cover 1. Number 1 here is a robber. So a robber, he just buzzes down into the intermediate, and he's just looking at the eyes of the quarterback. If the quarterback looks right, he goes right. If he looks left, he goes left. And you see it. He wanted Jeremiah on the slant. This was going to be a cloudy window. Just good coverage. Sometimes the defense wins, and they win here. Penn State's good defense, right? They played good. Frankly, we're really excited. Ohio State only scored 20 points, right, and left some out there, but they definitely won that rep there. So Penn State's best player gets one on their side. Flip it over. Ohio State's best player answers the phone, answers the bell here. He's on a free runner right up the middle, and man, this is a great blitz, great hit, huge play. Especially look at it, Kevin. This is 2nd and 8 from the plus 47.
Yeah,
moving. They lose 10 yards on this play. This is a huge play by Cody Simon.
it really is. And he doesn't spike him. He just grabs him, pulls him down, doesn't get the roughing the passer.
And he's fun to watch too, because like you can see right here, you can see the emotion in him, right? He wears Ohio State on his sleeve, dude, and like you can see it, man. This is a massive play in the game. Game was certainly well in the balance at this point. He makes an awesome play, pushes him back, and then JT, your turn, right? They had the ball right here. This is where Penn State had the ball. All right. JT, now welcome to the party. Blitzes up the field, and as Drew broke the pocket as he did all day, JT slowed his roll, got his hands on him, and another huge sack that pushed them 30 yards away. It's going to be 4th and 20 plus here because of 2 straight massive plays by the Bucs.
Exactly. No, that's just those are 2 guys that you're waiting on all day. Caden Curry looks like a scarecrow out there being held up that much. I mean, you just feel bad for the guy. I mean, you give him a break, but you look at him; he's walking. He's not happy. Not happy there. Yeah, no, that's just. I mean, those are 2 guys you expect to make plays, and they showed up when they needed to.
Big time stuff here. So flip it back over. Ohio State backed up a little bit. This throw right here is special stuff. I mean, this is dangerous as it gets. All right, and this is got to have it. 1st and 15, or excuse me, 1st and 10. Get the ball to number 4. Will does it. He's falling off his back foot, pressure in his face. This is the throw of the game. Probably one of the better throws that you've seen Will Howard make to this point in the season. Hits Jeremiah right there, and now Ohio State's not backed up anymore, right? They're on the 15-yard line. They got the ball out, and they got a chance to go. All right, flip it to the 4th quarter. Here we go again. Another good scheme. Great run scheme here. The top of this play got cut off here, but they faked an inside zone. So they faked like a handoff inside, and Quinshon took 1 step in, drew the defensive end down, and he pitched it right to him and set up a huge lane. We got to give a shout out here. Look at this Josh Fryer. This is a Josh Fryer play. Massive block by your tackle to just seal it all off and create a massive hole.
Yeah. I mean, another shout out, possible second career for football. Will Howard with an unbelievable acting job after being lightly touched there. Typical quarterback. Just
proud. Hey, I'm proud of the young man. Proud of him. Hey, look at Seth McLaughlin on the 45-yard line. Just looking for work, man. This is Ohio State offensive line. They heard the noise. They took it personally. The running backs took it personally, and they had an awesome run game. Okay, there we go on 2nd and 10 here. This is a great play by Ohio State, by Brandon Innes right here. Nothing crazy, just a nice crosser over the middle. Gets up the field. Good job here by Will Howard. Gets a touch, a bit of pressure. I won't say it, but you're seeing it and hearing it.
No, everyone's seeing it. Just push through. Through.
Hey, did he call it? I didn't see it.
No, I didn't see anything.
No flag there. So in this set of downs, now you get 3rd and 8, or excuse me, 3rd and 9. And I hinted at this one early on in the show. But where are you going to go on 3rd down to your most reliable dude? Penn State gives him a one-on-one matchup. If it's me, I'm not giving Jeremiah one-on-one anything. And he just hits this nice, pretty little out route. And Will rips one. Perfect ball right on the sidelines. Good catch on Sundays. And I believe he points for the 1st down. So Ohio State on that drive ends up kicking a field goal. And now here we go to the sequence that's still being talked about throughout all of college football here. And will continue to be talked about because it was special by Ohio State. So drive gets started. Tyler Warren, pretty non-existent in the pass game to this point, but when they needed it most, they go to number 44. What does he do? Makes a huge catch in traffic. It's an unbelievable catch and sets them up. Nothing you can do is, good coverage. Good, right there. I think it's Lathan who's right inside. Yeah, because that's Hancock right at my cursor. Lathan's right in good position. Tyler Warren makes a really good play. Great players are going to do that. What does he do to respond? Takes the handoff. Again, they knew it was time to get him the football. Takes the handoff, bounces it outside, and has the biggest play of the game for Penn State. And right here, Denzel does a good job of just getting him down. But at this very moment in time, Kevin, we're thinking, oh boy, they cracked the code. They're now able to score. Now we have to go win the football game. Two really good plays by Warren.
Yeah, that was. And there's some really, really good blocks on that play. You got number 16 out there, keeping Cody Simon busy, and then 10 makes a great block and takes out both of our linebackers. I mean, you go back to the top, there's another one I want to point out. That tackle right there that just seals off Sawyer. I mean, 66 gets on Sonny Styles, and that's what slows him down, which is tough. I think Tyler Warren is very, very capable running back for that matter, and is able to make plays. Sonny with a tough angle there, and then, Denzel kind of saves it because he was going to go in there if Denzel doesn't make that tackle.
And at least he was there, right? But at that point in time, you're not thinking that it was going to even matter. But I will say this. You don't have to believe me. I called it right here. I go, Penn State's not going to score. I had this weird sneaking suspicion that they were not going to get in the end zone because they've been praised all throughout the start of this year. Their offensive coordinator is great. He's so creative. He's all the things. And then they decide to do this play sequence here. First and goal from the 3. Stuff it in there. Run it. All right. We're going running back dive. Second one here. You saw this. You see him lit up here. This should have been a longer clip, but you see him lit up. This is their starting guard, all right? And he's going to motion in and just be an extra hat in here. But, Kevin, when you do that, that's their starting left guard. When you do that, you have to put the backup left guard in against probably the strength of that defensive line is the interior. And the Buckeyes, again, hold strong on first down, second down.
They really do. Number 71, they had him running around back there. I don't really know what he did. He didn't really hit anybody.
No, it's weird because it's not.
I thought they were going to use him like when I went back to watch it. I'm like, maybe they're using him to push the pile, but he would go to the end of the line of scrimmage and then just seal it off like he was there for like in case he wanted to bounce it outside.
But like that was this is a total waste. This is your best blocker. Oh, yeah. Look, he didn't do anything.
That's a bad, yeah.
And even here, Kevin, to your point, like, all right, maybe it is. Maybe this is a thought now. Like, have him seal the edge and then you keep it. Maybe that is something. Like, he didn't do it. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Right. And it's just weird. Like, it's shocking. So what do? They do the same thing again, but this time it's fourth down. So they motion 71 in, and everybody and their mom knew this was going to be a pass play, right? Drew Allers in shotgun. They're on the 1 yard line, and they throw some kind of a flat corner concept, or excuse me, let me redraw this. Some kind of a flat corner concept to the boundary. Like this is like there's no room. Like if you're going to get your best player the ball, figure out a better way to do it than running smash over into the boundary. There's no room. Like I don't care if it's Tom Brady. I don't care if it's Kevin. This is Rob Gronkowski. Like it doesn't matter. This is horribly drawn up, horribly called, horribly schemed, and Ohio State's the beneficiary. Like, hey guys, if you're going to make it that easy for us to stop you, thanks, appreciate it.
Right. I mean, if you go to the top of the play too, there's two things. One, the very top, that 71 is just like stacked. He's not blocking.
Let me rewind it. Yep, there we go.
There's JTT with a running back sandwich between him and 71 who came in motion. The part that is lost because we don't have the top of the play is no one was covering 71.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
So, like, if they're going to go back and watch that and be like, oh, we absolutely missed this. Like, if you are Penn State, you call a timeout before 4th and goal. You call a timeout and you say, hey, I just saw this. If they do it again, make a hand signal and throw the ball to 71. He was already an eligible receiver because he's in the backfield. Mm-hmm. And no one was covering him. That's what I would have done if I'm the OC. I'm looking at that pre-snap. I'm like, all right, timeout, let's go.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy.
I would add one thing to that too, is like now going forward, they know that nobody respects it. Like that's the other thing too, is like, oh, they knew we were, didn't even need to put even a fake body out there. Like nobody even cares about, they know that this guard's going to motion in to run it. Like that would have been a perfect time to one of these downs to like do one of the, know you have a trick play off of it.
Right.
There's no,
maybe they don't.
Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't.
But I think every team going forward, if I saw it sitting at a bar, I think every defensive coordinator in the country saw it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was, and then here's the response. Like this is where you have to, that's the window you have to fit it in. For Ohio State, you do your job, right? Like everybody knew this was going to be a pass. They're plastered everywhere. No mistake. Like nobody was like cut open. You're double teamed. You're exactly where you need to be. And it's awesome stand. So that's not the job's not finished, right? Kobe meme, job's not finished, right? Because now it's first and 10 at the 1. All right. And there's just over 4 minutes left to go at this point. So it's not like the game's over. Not like that was with 5 seconds left. Ohio State has to do something. This is got to be the best thing an offensive lineman's ever seen, because they go quarterback sneak for 6 yards on first down. That's crazy.
It really, I mean, it's just movement. That's pushing. That's
bodies down. On top of a dude, like finishing. Josh Fryer's just their bodies on the floor. There's Will Howard. And like beyond, like not even in a funny way, like getting those 5 yards is huge, because when you're all the way backed up like that, you're literally just trying to get a yard. Like your goal there is 1 yard and then 2 yards. Like that's it. You do that. Now you're in 2nd and 5, but now you can drop back into a shotgun, or you can get into more comfortable running formations for your offense. You see that here as they're able to get in shotgun, and now they block it down. Look at this wall. They wall everything off. Great job up front. Reading this defensive end. He's out of the picture because he takes the quarterback. And now Quinshon's one-on-one with number 0, who looks like a safety type. Advantage to number 1 there, because he lays the boom, man. That is a mean run by Quinshon.
Oh, yeah, it looks like AJ and Big Justice there.
I knew it, dude. I came out of my mouth and I wanted to do
I mean, the thing is, everyone sees Quinshon as this jukey spin move, but he's a hard-nosed runner, and you see it here.
Yeah, and this is good stuff, man. Lowers the shoulder. Not kidding you. After getting that first yard or first couple yards, the goal of being backed up is just to get 1 first down. Like get that first down, and that's job done. Job's well done, and anything else is cherry on top. Ohio State doesn't stop there. Here we go, 2nd and 4. So they run it on first down, 2nd and 4. Let's go Quinshon again. Right, look at this is my favorite part here, Kevin. Watch him right here. He gets 2 hands on the ball, like very clearly. This was do not fumble. Ball is the most important. You see 2 hands on it. He falls down. That ball was going nowhere, man.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, and you see the line. Look at Double T get up on that linebacker, secures him. Awesome. I think Bennett Christian had a great game, just getting in 11's head. He was on top of him. He was on top of him at the beginning of the drive on the quarterback sneak. Mm-hmm. Right here, he comes across, clips him just enough so that Quinshon can get through.
It's so good. And it's just like you said, just enough. Like right here, you're like, oh, he may make a play. Nope, no sir. And Quinshon busts through. And again, 2 hands on the football. Now you're out at the 35. Now you're thinking, all right, let's go, right? Like, let's just go do this. And now 3rd and 2, does this play look familiar? We'll just run it from the top. Same play that Ohio State scored on. Instead of Travian blocking, it's Quinshon. Bang, right in there. Makes a huge hit, man. This is a big play.
You run behind Donovan, who seals that perfectly. Quinshon does a great job. And I'm telling you, Bennett had a phenomenal final drive. I mean, he throws 6 out the club, gets enough of a hole for Quinshon to get through there, and then you got Seth always there to pick up his quarterback. I don't know what Seth was doing. Just dancing around. Okay.
He's in the way.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
And he's fired up. Let's go. Will's jacked up. All right, last play. Will ends it. We're going to go tried and true zone read.
You're not going to believe this. I did say when we called the timeout before this play, I'm like, he's like, what are we going to do? I'm like, I think you run the zone read here and you take the zone read, and I think Will pulls this. And I said it to my buddy Kevin Sieg. You can call him, you can quote him. Don't do whatever you want to do. But he heard me say it, and then Will, like the savvy veteran he is, he doesn't need the accolades, doesn't need the extra yards, he doesn't need the touchdown, which he might have had. He just goes, nope, and we're good.
And he hits the Drew Aller celebration, and that's a wrap. Awesome way to finish it, man. And, exactly what we said. Ohio State needed to get the quarterback involved.
Go back.
We're going back.
Look at G. Scott here.
Let's go.
Just look at that. He's right there. He drives him 5 yards down the field.
Yes,
and then
sir.
gets in his face after.
I love it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Come on.
That's why I'm a G. Scott guy.
At a baby G. Last play of the game. But, actually, like, to your point, right, like a game for G. Scott where he didn't get much action in the pass game, didn't get, wasn't that involved in all that stuff. Last play of the game, when called upon, makes a big play. And that's really what Ohio State's all about, man. That was a gritty team effort. Guys were making plays, whether they were the starting guy or Donovan Jackson moved spots for the first time in his career. And I thought it was all around, man. I thought that was an awesome performance by the Bucs.
100%. And it's crazy how you can have that good a performance when we talk about how good Jeremiah Smith is. He had an okay game. He dropped a surefire touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
He lost in the sun, or he stopped running because he thought Will was going to throw him one way or the other. That's a touchdown. He had the guy beat over the top. And for the first time all year, it wasn't on Will to get him the ball. It was Jeremiah messed up. And I think I don't know what it was, but you know what? If you can pick up the rest of your team when arguably your best player, which is crazy to say for a guy who's been on campus for 6 months, that's just the reality situation. When your best player isn't, that's a sign of a good team. When your best player's down, is you pick them up and win the game.
It's amazing stuff. And for Ohio State, big picture wise, just a huge win. You lose that game, and now you put your fate into the hands of the committee, right? You totally don't control it, regardless of the fact that your losses would have been against the number 1 and number 3 team in the country. Wouldn't matter. It just, you don't want to have 2 losses, 2 marks on that side of the ledger there, and they avoid it, and they do so in a huge way because they get 2 weeks now of get right games. And I would say this week for sure. Next week against Northwestern, it's going to be a tough one, right? Not an easy game, not the toughest, but not easy going to Chicago. But they get Purdue coming to town. It is the big noon kickoff, which I know everyone has their opinion on the big noon kickoff. There you go. The silence is deafening. So they got Purdue in the shoe this week, and then head to Chicago, which will be at Wrigley Field, which will be really, really cool in 2 weeks before welcoming the Indiana Hoosiers to town for now a top 10 matchup, dude. That is going to be an awesome game, but really critical, man, for Ohio State not to look past these 2 opponents, to make sure they take care of business. And then when Indiana's up next, they do what they need to do against those guys.
Absolutely. You can't overlook Purdue. You never can. I mean, it cost us when I was there with Dwayne Haskins. It's just you can't after a big win like this. It was right after a Penn State game. I think the coaches are very well aware of what it means. It was right after a big Penn State game. We went to the West Lafayette, where this one's home, thankfully. And then, next week is Northwestern. You're in a weird environment. You're at Wrigley Field. I'll be in Chicago for it. I will not be at the game because I do not.
Boots not on the ground. Dang it.
I will not, because I do not work in investment banking and will not be paying for a ticket. So, that's where I'm at. But if any Buckeyes would want me to be there and, talk them through stuff, hey, hit my line and just throw some comments under it.
Hit the line or subscribe to the channel, because
that too.
There you go.
Or both. Just do both. Why not do both? Porque no los dos.
Next week we'll have your Venmo under.
Exactly. It'll be a game day. No, but you can't like you said, you can't look past them, and that's where it's the leadership of this team, the leadership of the coaching staff to make sure that they don't.
And it's going to be awesome. So 2 huge opportunities coming down the pipe before, 2 awesome games to close it out. Indiana coming to town. They're ranked 8th in the country in this week's AP poll. And then the one everyone's looking forward to, a visit from the team up north coming to Columbus here in a few weeks. But a lot to go before then. So we're going to have you back to our normal schedule this week. Kevin and I will be back with you tomorrow, previewing the Purdue offense versus the Ohio State defense, or maybe flip-flop. I forget. I always get them mixed up. And then we'll be back with you on Thursday for the opposite of that. And then back to our normal scheduled programming on Saturday. I'll be down in Columbus for pre and post game, along with all the press conferences from the guys, from Coach Day, and whomever else gets on the mic. And then Sunday, we'll be back with you for another film episode of everything here, man. It's crazy. We got action starting tomorrow night. We're in November. There's 4 games left. Before we get out of here, we got to talk. This always happens, man. Football season always flies by.
Oh, it's tough. Yeah, I mean, someone texted me yesterday being like, "I've watched too much football." I'm like, I don't think that's possible.
Remember that text? Remember that text in May and June when we're just fiending for Ohio State versus Purdue? Like, that's all.
Oh yeah, no, they're new to football, so they're not used to it. But when they get acclimated to it, they'll be used to how you're clamoring for it in the dark days of baseball June.
Yeah,
and you're like, there's nothing on SportsCenter top 10 but diving catches and Giancarlo Stanton's 700-foot home runs.
Oh man, we do not need that. So savor all the week. Savor each of these going forward, because not many more of them left. But
absolutely.
Appreciate everybody jumping in and hanging out with us. We love doing this with you guys. So please, if you can, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, tell your friends about us. For all of our written stuff, head over to our other site, si.com/college/Ohio State, where we've got you covered for all things Buckeyes. We get set for a week 10. That hurts to say, a week 10 matchup against the Purdue Boilermakers as they come to town on Saturday afternoon for a date with the Ohio State Buckeyes. For Kevin Woidke, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Appreciate you guys. And until next time, go Bucks.